Okay, hi everyone. This is the video just looking at last session, the impressions question, where we looked at Emma and Robbie on the island. Your task was to do the easy question, one bullet point question, and the impressions question, which is what we looked at last session. This extract was about a story set on a Caribbean island where the main characters and Emma and Robbie are on holiday together. It was about a page and a half, but you only had to read the first sort of third for the first two questions. The first question was list 5 things you learn about Emma in these lines. So remember, this question it's 5 marks. It should be a bullet point question. Okay, so you probably should have started each sentence with she or Emma. You don't need to do a PE, but try to write a full sentence. Here was the extract. You had 6 lines to do it from. So your answer had to come within these 6 lines. And here's the stuff I highlighted. Remember, it doesn't have to be difficult. So for example, I've put Emma was always falling in love. She thought it was like skydiving. The men she fell in love with were usually married, blah, blah, blah. So these are the ones I highlighted. And then my answers were, she was always falling in love. She thought love was an impulsive thing. The men she fell for were usually married or awful. She was not interested in nice, polite men. She usually went for successful men. Remember, these are all from the text. Okay, so you don't have to do any PEs. And then you could have actually also had, she was fearless, which is the last phrase. She liked men who had no time for her. So remember, if it's a 5-mark question, there's usually 6 or 7 things you can put. I've put down 7 here because I had loads of time. But obviously, if you didn't have time, just put down as many as you can. But obviously, we need 5 at least. Look how I started each answer with either she, or I could have started with Emma. That is a technique I would definitely advise you to do. You might have found that question quite easy. Hopefully you did. To get better about that question, just trying to improve by getting quicker. So if you practice, you get quicker and you'll give yourself more time on the other ones. The next question you had to do, the final one, was read lines 7 to 16. And the question was, what impressions does the writer create of Emma and Robbie in these lines? Remember, it does say Emma and Robbie, so you would need at least one quote from one of the other characters. I think probably you did more about Emma and maybe one about Robbie. It's 5 lines, it's 5 quotes, so you should be looking for 4 or 5 quotes. Again, small explanations. So remember this impressions question, pick out a word and say why it's been used. So for example here, it says whispered. This hints the character is secretive about something. Then the second part of the sentence it says, my cheeks went red. What does that tell me about the character? Well, it tells me that I'm embarrassed. So you're picking out little phrases, little clues and saying what it tells me about that person. Here's the extract you had. You had 3, 6, 10 lines. Yeah, 9 lines. And you had to say, what impressions did the writer create of Emma and Robbie? You were looking for 4 or 5. I put 5 to 6 here, but 4 or 5. What kind of people Emma and Robbie are? So the quotes I picked out was, he was 20 years older than her. She mistook his grumpiness for shyness. And then a bit before that, it says about Robbie that he's grumpy. She felt she needed the time apart from Robbie. She was physically adventurous. That is one of those easy ones where I tell you where if it's obvious, just say it. So for example, for that one, you get one impression I get is she's physically adventurous. You don't need to explain that. She climbed up cliffs, so you could say she's a bit of a daredevil. And then for him, so the red was for Emma. For him, you could have put he's well known for his grumpiness. He would stay in the house and sulk, so you can maybe say he was immature. So there's more for Emma than Robbie, but at least say 1 from Robbie to make sure you get the marks. So for this question, say what impression you get, give a quote, and that's it really. Try and do 4 or 5 as opposed to 1 big one. Remember, if you did 1 big quote, 1 mark. If you do 4 or 5 quotes, 4 or 5 marks. Here are the ones I've put, she shows she's naive as she mistakes his grumpiness for shyness. I've put, she seems not bothered about what is normal really, because she goes out of a guy who's 20 years older than her. I put she may not be in love as she thinks she needs time apart, but you could also put like she's independent and she needs time apart. The writer calls her physically adventurous and a bit of a daredevil, so you would climb up cliffs. That's 2 quotes. And then for him I've put he's immature, as it says he sulks when Emma leaves. And I've put he may be unhappy as he's known for grumpiness and he wants to stay at the house instead of spending time with her. I've shown you these ones because these are real examples. This one got 2 out of 10, 2 out of 5, sorry. And again, the reason it only got 2 out of 5 is there's only 2 quotes. This is a real exam, a real student only got 2 marks. Make sure you're doing it. This person put 8 quotes in. I'm not expecting you to do 8 quotes, but if I just read you this answer, look how quickly this person does it. They don't spend loads of time. All they do is give a quote, and sometimes they don't even explain the quote. I've put One impression, well, this is not me, this is a student. One impression of Emma is she gets bored quickly and needs to explore. She described as adventurous. She would, as opposed to Robbie, who would rather stay home at Silk. He's well known for his grumpiness, but all the way through, you'll probably notice they're not really explaining their quotes, they're just giving them. Okay, that's it. Hopefully that's helped you a little bit. Go back to the lesson and we'll carry on with the second part of the impressions question.